the session, just in case you face any problems with the audio. So you can always go back to the video and watch the review. So what I have planned for today is typically what I do for the review. I just show you the slides that I send you via email, and we go through the format of the exam, and also over the topics that are going to be covered as part of the exam, and tell you a little bit about what's the best way to prepare. This time is going to be different. We are not going to be taking the exam in the classroom, so we're going to be accessing the exam through Canvas. I have tested the exam option for Canvas. It works very well. So the only thing that you need to have access to a computer, obviously, and to an internet connection in order to access the exam. But let me just talk about that in a minute. Let me just start sharing the screen. So these are the slides. Okay, so these are, I made some updates to this slides. So I updated the slides. They're available in your Canvas site. If you go to the reviews folder, you'll find the latest version. I will tell you where the edits are in a minute. So let's see. So here's let's see, how can I make this smaller? Okay, so yes, I can. So the exam is gonna be on Thursday, April 30th. So that's next week, a week from today. And you will have access to the exam from 12:30 to 1:50. I'll probably give you more time because you need to upload some of the answers to the Canvas site. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So I will open the exam at 12:30, and then it will be open for submission, let's say until 2:10, 2:15. So just to give you some extra time for you to upload some of the things that you have to upload in order to answer some of the questions. But here's the format. 10 multiple choice or true or false questions. Those are gonna be easy to answer. You'll see those questions in the Canvas side. You're just gonna select the best answer based on the options that you have available. So 10 multiple choice or true or false questions, and so that will be 20 points of the exam. And then the rest of the exam is going to be problems that you are going to be able to solve. So even though most of the exam is going to be, or most of this is a comprehensive exam, okay? So it involves all the material that we have studied throughout the semester. So it starts from lecture 1 until lecture 7. So it's all the material. But in terms of the problems, you'll see that the problems are going to be directed mostly to the second part of the semester. So there will be most likely 3 questions that you're going to have to work on. Those could be similar to questions that the ones that you submitted these Tuesday, in which you have to use the set theory and in order to answer some problems. It could be also things like you will see in this last lecture, in which you have to create UML diagrams. So the use case models, the class models, and so on. And it could be questions that you need to answer, like the ones you saw on the first exam, in which you have to, for example, say what is the hierarchy level, what are the hierarchy levels of a system. So you have to be prepared to answer those type of questions as well. So again, in terms of the material, and we will start with lecture 1, in which we did an introduction to systems engineering. And then we spent some time looking at the system thinking component. What is system thinking? What are the basic models? The fundamental system constructs, fundamental system principles, and the classification of systems. And then we transition into the structure of complex systems, which involves the system development process, systems engineering, technical knowledge. The hierarchy that I just mentioned, what is systems of system? What does that mean? The interfaces and interactions, which are part of the system environment. From there, we talk about the system development process, the system lifecycle model, the systems engineering method, how those two connect. So the system engineering through the system lifecycle, and so on. And then we talk about the theory of system design, which was focusing on defining requirements for your system and how those connect with what is called a functional system design, a buildable system design, and an implementable system design. So those topics were covered during the first part before we did it to before we transitioned to online teaching. Lecture 4 as well. So I think this is the last piece that was covered for that first exam that goes through how to write system requirements. I need you to go through that. If you face problems in the first exam, I know with this social distancing, I was unable to show you your first exam. But I saw some of the students in that question that I asked you to write requirements. I was looking for you to follow those writing words, the words that we identified that were needed for you to state a particular type of requirement for your system. So if I ask you to write requirements for this exam, I want you to follow the techniques that we specify in this lecture: writing system requirements, how to specify requirements, the type of requirements. So that was something else that I asked in that question. So you needed to tell me, you needed to write some specific type of requirements. So if you don't remember, I want you to go back to that lecture and make sure that you understand how to specify requirements for a system. And then before we went for spring break, we talked about the systems engineering documents. This was more towards your project. So this is a good lecture for you to review when you work on your project, to see what are the documents that are needed and how you go about defining those documents, in what sequence, and so on. Then the material for the second part of the semester starts with lecture 5, which now we go through the system life cycle, and we are looking at these first 3 phases, the need analysis. So for lecture 5, that's what we are doing, the need analysis. So the originating of a new system, operations analysis, functional analysis, feasibility, definition, needs validation, system operational requirements. So that's lecture 5. Lecture 6, I wanted you to see that there's a connection with what we did in one of the lectures for the first part of the semester, in which we define causal loop models and n-squared charts. So those tools are very relevant when you are doing the needs analysis. And then we move to lecture 6, which we are doing the second phase, the concept exploration. So the developing of the system requirements, the operational requirements analysis, and the performance requirements formulation. Then we did some set theory. This is just to see how our, how do we connect. I mean, the purpose of this lecture is if you wanted to show, or if you want to model that the performance of the operations of your system, at least from a theoretical point of view, you can use set theory to show some of those functions in operational requirements for your system. So, and that's what's the transition from this second lecture to part 3 is that you see how that set theory can help you create these system models in which you can specify the inputs, the outputs. You can also specify some of the functions, the state transitions for your system, and you can model your system using these mathematical formalisms. So this piece, in addition to do the concept exploration, we allow you to, or we are trying to show you a way to model your concept using these system models and discrete time models to specify the operations of some of the pieces, or maybe the whole thing in your system. And then part 7, we go to the third phase of the system life cycle, which is concept definition. And here we look at selecting the system concept that is the one that you are going to move forward with. How do you do performance requirements analysis, functional analysis and formulation, functional allocation, concept selection, and then finally the unified modeling language, which is also helping you to see some of the behaviors and the environment and all the things that are going to be affecting your system. So the last part of the course, if you haven't watched that last piece or that last video, is the unified modeling language. That's more towards how to build these unified modeling language models. And in the Canvas side, there's a folder. You can build these diagrams in PowerPoint, for instance, but it will take you a long time. But you can also use this software that it is available in the Canvas site. It gives you access for, I think, for a month for free, and you can use that software to build these unified modeling language quicker. So that's the material for the exam. The lectures and the video lectures are available on Canvas, on the Canvas pages. In terms of preparing for the exam, you can always look back into the chapters that we have covered throughout the semester. But you can, if you study the lecture slides and you study the homework, you should be able to do very well. I have posted the lecture slides with the notes, so you also have access to the lecture slides with the notes. Those are available on Canvas. In terms of the exam by itself, even though we are not in the classroom, I expect you to follow these rules. The exam should be closed book and notes. In terms of the questions, make sure that you clearly show your work. My recommendation for some of them, you're gonna be able to type in the exam. Like if I give you a space, if I ask you a question that you can type in, you will have that space to type in. But if I ask you to draw something or to create a diagram, then you're gonna have to do that on a paper, on a piece of paper, and you're gonna be writing or drawing that thing in a paper. So in the exam portal, you will have an option to upload a document or upload the picture with your answer. So that's what what I would like you to practice also as part of preparing for the exam, what will be the quickest way for you to, if you draw something on paper, to get a picture of it and to make it available to upload into the exam. So I have, if you have a smart cell phone, I have an app that is called Cam Scanner that allows you to take a picture and create a PDF file out of the picture that you can just send you to your email and then upload to the exam if needed, or in this case. So I know there's multiple apps that are doing the same thing, but if you are not aware of any of them, I have Cam Scanner. You can take a picture of the paper and you can create a PDF file and you can upload that PDF file to anywhere. So again, the true or false multiple choice questions that are going to be the first part of the exam, you're going to be able to answer those questions in the site. If I ask you to write something that doesn't require for you to draw or to write numbers or to create something that is going to be very difficult for you to do with a keyboard, then I'm going to have a space for you to save the file and upload that file into the system. So the question will have that option for you to upload a file. You just need to make sure that you have a way to scan either by a scanner or using an app like Cam Scanner to upload that image into the exam. See what else. Okay, so that's in general what you should expect for the exam. In terms of the material, is going to include all lectures from lecture 1 to lecture 7. And then the format, as I mentioned, first part, multiple choice or true or false questions. Those are going to be 10 questions, so 20 points. And then the rest of the exam are going to be questions that are going to be similar to the ones you saw in the first exam, but this time we'll be focusing more on the second part of the course, second part of the material. So questions again, such as drawing UML diagrams or answering questions in which you can, for example, I can go back to the system lifecycle model and ask you questions like, tell me what is the system lifecycle model. I have a question through this. You get a question through draw. Okay, so I have a question. If we get a question to draw a use case model, can we draw with pen and paper, or we have to use UML only? So you are going to be drawing. I mean, in order to answer that question, you are going to be drawing in a paper, but you have to use the format, even though you are doing it by hand. You don't have to do it in a software. You don't have to do it in software. You can do it by hand. But if I ask you for a use case model, you need to make sure that you use the right design modules for a use case. For example, you know that circles represent some things. You know that these draws that look like persons represent something else. So I expect you to use those. The format has to be the same, even though you are drawing it by hand. Does that make sense?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Yeah, so you're not going to be using any software to answer questions, okay? You are going to be either typing into the format, typing into the exam, the site where the exam is going to show up, or you're going to be drawing by hand or answering by hand in a paper, and then you are going to be taking a picture or scanning that answer and uploading that into the exam. And then if you face any issues, for example, if you know for sure that you are going to be having trouble with your internet during this time period from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Or if you think that, for example, you're at home and there's going to be a lot of noise during that time period, and you think that it's going to affect your performance, I encourage you to send me an email so we can discuss a good time for you to take the exam. But it has to be next week, okay? So we can talk about those personal issues offline if we need to. But my preference will be that everybody access the exam during the class time, which is the time that we have allocated for this. And now I have time to answer questions. So if you like to ask me any questions, you can do it through the group chat, or you can just use a mic and ask me any questions. So if there's no questions, then I can just stop here. I will post this video so you can look at it. Yeah, I have another question. Is there any bonus question? I will think about it. Yeah, last time I think I added a bonus question, so I will think about it. Any other question? Okay, so thank you for your time. I hope that everybody is doing well. Everybody's staying healthy. Again, if you need to talk to me anytime, just send me an email. We can schedule a Zoom meeting, and we can discuss if you have questions about the exam. Yes. So could we have 5 extra minutes to convert the documents? Yes. So I mentioned that at the beginning. So it's scheduled from 12:30 to 2 p.m. So I will give you some extra time after 2 p.m. In case you need it. So about 10 minutes more for performing that uploading the documents and so on. Okay. And if you don't have questions now, but as you get started with the studying and you find out that you have questions, just send me an email. If I can answer your questions via email, or if I can't, then I can send you or find out if we can talk via Zoom.
Is the test just going to be through Canvas?
Yes, the test is going to be through Canvas. So you are going to access the exam through Canvas. I have tested this Canvas exam option, and it works very well. I already did a couple of exams with the Canvas, and it works well. So far, no issues with the Canvas option for the exam. So it should be easy for you to access. And obviously, I'm gonna be online available. If you face any issues during accessing the exam, you can send me an email, and I'll pay attention to that. Make sure that everybody is able to access the exam during that time period. Okay, so have another question. So do we need to submit the test as PDF? Are you talking about the text or the exam? Because the exam is going to be online. So there will be questions that you can just, if it is true or false, you're going to be able to click true or false in the exam portal, okay, through Canvas. And then you will see questions. And as you move forward, you'll see that once you are done with the multiple choice questions and true or false questions, those are going to be easy to answer. Just click on the right answer. And then when you get to those 3 last questions, then there could be a question in which I ask you something like, tell me what are the 6 different type of requirements. So for those questions, you can easily type. You will be able to type. I'm going to give you a space for you to type the name. So that'll be, again, in the system. But if I ask you a question in which you have to, for example, answer using sets or draw a diagram, for those type of questions, you're going to have to do it on a sheet of paper. Okay, you're going to have to answer that on a paper. But for those questions, I'm going to, let's say question number 2 is asking you to draw a use case model. So you're going to draw that in a piece of paper, and then you're going to scan that using either an app or your own scanner. You're going to scan that paper, and there's going to be an option for you to upload your answer just for that question that requires a handwritten answer. Okay. Thank you. Good. Yeah, is there an option for us in the exam to change the answer after clicking once? Yes, you should be able to change any answers before you submit. Yeah, so you should have access to all your questions before you submit. Okay, so I know this is difficult. This is difficult for the students, difficult for me. Not these are difficult times. I want you to understand that I'm gonna make this as simple as possible. So I'm not going to design an exam for you to take advantage of or to make you fail. Okay, it's gonna be, I know there's special circumstances, so I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible. Yes, I have another question here, if it's okay to submit the practical part of the test as digitalized drawings in pen. Yes, that's fine too. If you prefer to do that, yeah, just make sure that it doesn't consume all your time. So if you can do that by hand, let's say you prefer to do it in paint, and you can do that, that's fine. Okay. Okay, guys. So if you have any other questions, you send me an email, and I'll be available to answer those. Take care. Make sure that you take care of yourself, that you complete the semester, and then we'll hopefully see you guys again in the fall or during the summer if you end up taking courses in the second summer. So I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop the video recording, and I'll make that available for you this afternoon. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Bye-bye.